Here we are with the new Lotus drivers in the American No Assist Championship for PC League at PRL. Jason and Elvin, Barbacoa and shadowEno, both joined the team 4 weeks ago in the European Grand Prix, and both were looking for big points for their rest of the season. The old drivers only scored 10 points before they left the team, but you guys already have scored 34 points, moving to 7th and sending Mercedes into last place in the World Constructors Championship. Jason, for the first time on the podium in this championship last night, things are starting to look good for you.
Yeah, it was a very good race in Hungary. The first couple of races that I did at this league was mostly learning experiences, getting used to the sim, getting used to the car, the setups, and that kind of thing, how things work in general. So after I got used to it, works out, the points start to come, I guess. And I got some time to put in practice with a setup and work on that, so it really helped, and that showed in Hungary.
Speaking of Hungary, tell us about your race last night and how you got that podium finish.
Oh, now you're asking me to remember stuff. Okay. Let's see. Well, I did spend a lot of time doing some hot lap practice. I did, again, a learning experience. I did a bunch of time trials the week before Hungary. And then I realized afterwards that the times and the setups that I used there didn't really apply to online race setups or sessions. So then I started doing some more practice and setup fine-tuning with the McLaren car in just an offline mode. And that seemed to be much closer to what I would actually get out of the Lotus in the race. So I probably spent more time practicing for Hungary than I did the previous 2 races combined.
And you, Elvin, already practicing for the next race at Spa, or waiting for Friday to check to see if we'll be alive for this next race?
Well, I like Spa. Hungary wasn't my really good track. I never took the game too seriously, so I always used the traction control and racing lines, so I kind of rely on it. So I have to relearn the corners again and braking points. So not enough practice. That's my biggest problem. But in Spa, I'm going to do lots of practice for Spa, so we'll see. I'm hoping for better result.
I take it Spa is one of your favorite tracks then?
Yes, it is. I love Spa.
Jason, what about you? What's one of your favorite tracks?
Well, definitely Spa as well. I remember one of the drivers, or somebody said at one point that racing at Spa is different because it feels like you're going somewhere, not just racing around in a circle. So I heard that and thought that was really cool because it is like that. I mean, you're going through the woods, the forest, there's multiple types of turns, a bunch of straights. It's a really fun track. It's pretty long, so it's tough to get a good time because you've got to kind of be perfect everywhere to get that golden lap, but it's definitely one of my favorites too.
Switching gears a little bit, both of you are doing 2 races each week, racing in the AAC as well. There is some controversy about how equal the equal cars really are. Do you feel that they are really equal?
I mean, I drive Mercedes with Dusty and the other one, and Lotus over here. I don't see a big difference between those two. And I heard other guys complaining about. I did notice in a single player that I'm practicing on McLaren, so it's a little different.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a really good question. I don't really know. Don't think I've done enough races to be able to tell the difference. I'm driving Force India in AAC and Lotus here, and to me they feel pretty much the same. The thing that I notice the most is really the sound. The engine sounds. The Force India doesn't sound quite the same as the Lotus, so it kind of throws me off a little because I use the sound to judge when I should be upshifting and downshifting and stuff. So it's a little different, but as far as performance goes, I haven't really put in enough seat time in these cars to tell the difference.
So then, Jason, you wouldn't be able to tell if the Lotus is faster or slower than your other car?
No, when we're online and it's set to equal, I can't tell the difference.
What about you, Elvin? Can you tell a difference in speed between your 2 cars?
I completely agree with my teammate. I don't see any difference.
What about setup changes? Is there anything major that you guys need to do without getting into specifics between your AAC and NAC cars regarding their setup? Do you guys have to change them dramatically, or are they pretty much the same thing between different nights?
Well, I decided just not to use any assist at all, so same setup for both races.
Yeah, for me, I do make some minor changes to the setup, mostly the gearing. I find that with each different car I load up, the gearing seems to need some tweaking. So I do make those changes, but other than that, the suspension and stuff is pretty much the same for me.
What about driving with assist? How are you guys finding driving without them? Since we're now talking about the No Assist League, Elvin, have you had any problems with without driving assist on?
Actually, no, because I don't know. I used to a little bit drive iRacing before, and occasionally, and there is no assist. So once you set up your mind, I don't really miss traction at all. Maybe with rain a little bit, but the only thing that threw me off was that stupid racing line I was using, but just lazy. So I get relying on it, and now it's a little bit hard for me. Just when I got like looking forward to Singapore, for example, I have to really do some practice if I want to finish the race.
What about you, Jason? Are you having any problems driving without assists?
No, no problems for me. Kind of like Elvin, I've been used to driving without assists for a long time in iRacing and other sims. And with this game, it's like, normal. The only assist I do like to use, even in the AAC, is the racing line, especially on the tracks that I haven't raced before, because it'll tell me what the line is and give me a sense of what speed I should be taking these corners at. And then I find that after doing some practice for the AAC and then running that race, that's enough to make me comfortable for the No Assists League on Wednesday. So no problems. I like driving without the assists. You can usually get a faster lap time without them anyway.
You both mentioned that you play iRacing, which happens to be one of the best racing simulators available. What do you think Codemasters should copy from iRacing to make their next F1 game better?
Tire model, definitely. If I just can get that feeling car on the tarmac, to feel it on a wheel and a little bit fix the G-force feeling, that will be great, Because they're mainly going between sim and arcade, so I think it's a mistake,
Yeah, what I'm thinking that iRacing can bring over to this Codemasters game is mostly the netcode. I think Codemasters have done a really good job with the look, the sound. The feel isn't too bad. You can definitely tell the difference with the physical way the car feels on the road. Codemasters has with this game right now, it's just the netcode. There's too many disconnections and random jumping around. iRacing seems to have perfected their netcodes. I never see that stuff unless there's one person that really has a big issue or a big latency problem. But Codemasters definitely needs to fix that, so hopefully they can improve that for the next version.
Is there anything from iRacing, from F1 2012 that you would like to see imported into the next version of iRacing?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot of things, actually, but I'm assuming that the iRacing folks, they're trying to cater to a couple of things, the sim crowd, and they're trying to cater to a wider variety of racing and vehicles. So they're not specializing in F1 like Codemasters is. But if they were to decide to, really focus on the F1, there's a ton of things in the Codemasters game that isn't in iRacing. For example, I'd love to see the different tire compounds being available. I'd love to, and other sims have done that, like Race 07 has that available, and others. I'd also love to see the weather, changeable weather, rain and stuff like that. And again, other sims have done it. It's not a new concept by any means, but iRacing for some reason hasn't gotten there yet. So there's a bunch of things like that really don't change the feel of the car or anything. They've perfected that stuff, I think, but they could really do with some boost on the car essentials like the atmosphere, the ambiance, the things like weather and stuff. I think they can improve on a lot.
Well, I think he covered everything.
Oh, and one more thing, even the qualifying format. Why can't they introduce a three-phase qualifying like Codemasters has in the full version? I think that would be a great addition too.
Jason, it is too late for the World Constructors Championship title, I'm assuming, but with 9 races to go, how far do you think Lotus can go up the standings?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'd have to look at the numbers here. Let me see where we are. Lotus is currently last well, actually, before Hungary, they're last. We're going to jump up before that, I think, to probably second last. It looks like right now we might be able to surpass Red Bull in 5th place, maybe. Just depends how those guys do. There's some strong drivers there, though, so we might not be able to catch them. I'm thinking if we set a target at maybe 5th place in the Constructor Championship, that would be a good goal. You know, we're both coming in pretty late in the season, so like you say, 1st or 2nd or maybe even 3rd is probably out of reach, especially considering the drivers that are up there now.
Yeah, let's say between Red Bull and Williams.
Elvin, how is the work with your new team? Your recent results were good. What do you think makes you and Jason such a strong team?
Well, communication. Good, you know. He's fast, so as long as he shares setups with me, I'll be fine. I'm not so good at setting up my cars. But he's a great guy, so I can see us getting up there the ladder a little bit.
Final questions tonight. What are your individual goals for the rest of the season? Podiums, wins, how many points do you predict each of you will receive for the rest of this season? Elvin, why don't you start off with that one?
As long as I finish in the points, so I'll be happy because, you know, you guys are pretty fast, all of you, and we'll, you know, it's nice to be a part of the, you know, Precision Racing League, and I just looking to have fun and be competitive, you know. Me and my teammate trying to score some points, and as long as you're competitive, you know.
Yeah, I'd like to see a win at some point before the end of the season. I'm not sure how realistic it is, but that's definitely the goal. I've managed to get the first podium in the ANAC at Hungary, so that's a good first step. I think with a little practice and some fine-tuning on setups, I'll have a good chance at getting to the front on some of those tracks that are probably a little less popular. It seems like tracks that everyone has raced before, like probably Spa and Monza, things like that. You know, I may not have as good a chance because others have spent a lot of laps there. But other tracks, like maybe the U.S. track, Circuit of the Americas, and maybe Korea, if I put in enough time there, I'll probably be on a more even playing field with some of the faster, more experienced drivers. So I'm looking forward to going for at least one win throughout the rest of the season, and hopefully worst case top 10, but I'm going to always be going for the podium at minimum if I can.
Well, that's it from us tonight. Thank you very much for joining us, both of you. Good luck on the track for the rest of the season, and hopefully we'll see you guys back next championship season.
Thank you very much for having us.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Have a great night.